All right. So as I promised to you in the original post, I had asked people who were interested in, if I taught you about good debt and bad debt, would that be something that you want to learn about? See, here's the thing. If you're a regular working class individual, you're currently in a job, maybe you're, I don't know, you're working, you're making 70 grand, 100 grand a year, maybe less than that, 50 grand, 60 grand a year, but you're a professional. You went to school, you went to, and got qualified to become a skilled worker. You were probably taught about trying to pay off debt, right? And it probably started as far back as when you were going to school, getting student loans or something to that effect, and that's something you need to pay off. That's actually the correct narrative. But there is an element that you need to also understand, and that's the concept of differentiating the kind of debt you actually have. Okay, because good debt effectively is debt that puts money in your pockets. Now we'll talk about what I mean by that. Bad debt is debt that actually takes money out of your pocket. Okay, so an example of bad debt is I love referencing the easy one, which is a car lease. Not always, but for the most purposes that people use a car for, it's a bad debt. Because ultimately speaking, if you just go and lease a car, right, and you really only used to go to work and you don't really use it to do much else, maybe you go and see some friends and whatnot, everything that that car is doing for you is effectively creating a situation where you are losing money because the value of the car is depreciating. So you're putting debt onto something, you're paying interest on something that's depreciating in value. And second of all, every month, money's being taken out of your pocket. I guess there's an argument where you could say that, yeah, because you use the car to travel to work and work makes you money, that could be justified as a good debt. So I think it just depends on whether you view your job as an asset or if you view your job as a liability. Initially speaking, your job is going to be an asset, right? Because the job puts money into your pockets. So what I want you to understand in the beginning of this training is that really we're looking at the kind of debts that are going to make us wealthy. The kind of debts that we take money out, we put it into something, that something goes on to make a lot of money and we can capitalize on the return on investment. That's good debt. Bad debt, it was you put money into something, let's say like money on a down payment into a car, and then it takes money out of our pocket every single month in order to pay down the debts and the interest on it. And especially when it's depreciating value. Another bad debt that a lot of people, they get confused when I say this, is actually the real estate that you live in. Okay, so the real estate that you live in is a bad debt because you're putting a bunch of money down. The asset is technically only appreciating against inflation. So that means that the actual value of the home is going to move up against inflation. And all you're doing is you're just saving money. Okay, you're not putting money in your pockets, you're saving money. Okay, so if let's say your house is worth 500,000 today, and you put $100,000 down on it, you're putting debt into it, and now for the next 30 years, you're paying down debt. You're paying your own pocket. You're not actually making money. You're not getting cash flow. There's not an external source paying you for that house. You're just paying yourself. It's good in the structure of wealth, in the massive structure of wealth, but I just don't think it's the first place to start. Okay, because I think what is a smarter way, let me give you a little mind twist here on this. I think what's a smarter way to do is you buy a property. Okay, that property is under the business, which is an incorporation, it's an investment property, and you actually rent that place out. That is now making you money. If you have enough properties that are making you money, then you can take the income and actually go and pay for the place that you live in. You see what's going on here? So a lot of people, they think that being a first-time home buyer is the answer towards financial freedom, towards being set in life, and it couldn't be further from the truth. What you need to set up are different avenues of cash flow so that the cash flow, which comes to you passively, can be used to actually fund the lifestyle that you want to live. So if your lifestyle includes driving that nice car, if it includes living in that nice executive condo, with the beautiful views, if it includes wanting to own a boat, wanting to own an airplane, you want to travel a lot, that should be set up in a way that, you can scale, because there's a problem with time. You can't scale time. Okay. So there is only so much that you can do in your time to make money. effectively, unless you're working 24 hours a day, even then, what are you going to scale beyond 24 hours? You can't. So money, however, is scalable. So you choose how you scale it. Most people, they just go into the base level thought. They don't really have big visions for their life. They have very small vision for their life. And they just want a car, a place to live, and then they want to spend 35 years complaining about why they don't have money. Right? Does that sound familiar? So what I say is you've got to learn the difference between good debt and bad debt. We're going to get into that today. And I really hope that you take something away from this lesson. You start thinking about your money in a different perspective and in a different outcome of where you're trying to go. Listen, I'm not shooting down the idea that you can live a humble, modest life as long as that's what you want. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I have a lot of really really good friends that don't have much of an appetite. But you know what's interesting? I've found that there's a direct correlation between the appetite that you have for life and the actual level of esteem that you carry in life. See, most people who think that they don't that money is not really for them or whatnot, they have a bad connotation with money. They have a bad relationship with money. They think money it makes people dirty or evil. They've had bad experiences with money. They've seen family members fight over money. They usually have some sort of a background like that makes them not have an appetite for money, which turns them into a very low key individual that seems to not care about money. But if you go into the deep roots of even conversing with these types of people, you find out very quickly that money is actually a pain point for them. Okay. So all I say is challenge your mindset a little bit. If you're someone who doesn't want money and think money is not going to bring you a better life, um, I implore you to challenge that. Money brings you a better life, but it's contingent on you having a good head on your shoulders, as opposed to a bad head on your shoulders, which unfortunately a lot of people have with regards to money. Okay, so let me give you an example of a good debt. All right, something that puts money in your pocket. So we talked about real estate already. So I'm gonna start drawing some things here, because I think I'm definitely visual, and I think most people are visual. So let's go to shapes. Let's draw a line here. Let's get a line out here. We have another form of good debt is rental income, right? Because effectively with rental income now, you are being paid to have an asset. So the standard narrative goes, you take money out, and I love using the bank's money, and we'll talk about why in a second. You take money out of the bank and you put it into an asset that makes you income, such as real estate. And the reason I love real estate so much is that people need places to live, okay? And the world that we're shifting to, the sort of disparity that's happening between people's mindsets, people are becoming less and less owners of things, and they're becoming more and so renters of things. Think about the whole Airbnb business model. People are less interested in actually owning that penthouse suite, but they don't mind renting it. So that positions people who think about asset allocation in a very advantageous spot, because if if less and less people own things, that means that there's going to be a smaller pool of people who have the asset and a larger pool of people who spend money. Okay, and more people will be spending money to stay on the Airbnb than the actual people who own it. So if you can position yourself where there's less people, you're going to be the one who makes the money. If you have the property, if you have the assets, if you have the streams of income, you have the things that generate those streams of income, you're going to be in that elite and in that 1%. And debt is how you get there. People think that you got to save money. That's the old narrative. That's the worker mindset. That's not the investor. That's not the elite. That's not the 1%. The 1% leverages debt to multiply the rate at which they acquire assets. Listen to that again. The elite, the 1%, they leverage debt to multiply the rate at which they acquire assets. Assets do what? They put money in your pocket. Liabilities do what? They take money out of your pocket. Okay? So if you can be on a spree to use debt to strategically buy places that are going to produce income for you, that's the way to go. One of my most favorite times, okay, is that when my assets have gone up in equity, I love talking to the bank. I love going to the conversation with the bank, because I say, let's say I have a property that I bought for $1 million and now it's worth $2 million. Now there's effectively $1 million worth of equity in there. 500 grand is a very, very responsible thing for me to go and discuss with the banks at, maybe 2 to 3%. You get a nice interest rate, 2 to 3%. You pull that out. Let's do some math here. Okay, I'm going to grab a calculator and we're going to talk about what that looks like. If I grab a $500,000, a $500,000, let me move my calculator around here. Sorry, guys. Refinancing on now the equity, right? Because I mean, my house has gone from $1 million to being worth $2 million, so I have $1 million extra here that I could work with. If I sell my property, I've got all this extra cash. So the bank sees this. If I can now raise how much debt I owe to the bank and do something with that, I can speed up how much money I start making passively, right? So if I can raise my capital by $500,000 with the bank and get that out of my property, I finance that against my property at, let's say, 5%. Okay, so 0.05 multiplied by 0.05, sorry, $500,000 at 0.05. That's effectively a $25,000 annual, right? An annual interest that I pay on it. So divide that by 12 months, you're looking at something around $2,083. So the cost of borrowing 500 grand across, effectively the time span that we're talking about is going to be about 25 grand. Now, in that math, I didn't do something specific. Let's do this again. 500 grand, right? Times 1.05 puts us at 525. It's going to cost me $25,000 a year. Okay, think about that for a second. $25,000 every year. So if I'm able to put that $25,000 cost against an asset that produces me more than 25 grand a year, am I not net positive? Am I not net flow, cash flow positive? Of course I am. Okay. Let's take a look at let's go through a game right now. We'll go on realtor.ca. Okay, I'm in Canada, and let's go into one of the hottest markets that everybody is always so hot and horny about. Let's go into one of the hottest markets right now, like Vancouver and in Canada, and let's see what we can find for less than $500,000. Maximum price is $500,000, and all you negative Nellies, oh, you won't fall much. Let's see what we find. Let's search for 500 grand, and what I'm interested in is what's the rental on. Okay, so some of you are really excited about West Vancouver and North Vancouver. So we have some places here that are a little bit older, but this one looks kind of nice. Maybe 440, 295 now. Let's go here, 489. Right? People are always living on the North Shore. They're always living in West Vancouver. People love that place. Okay, people are just always happy here. So let's go into one of these. Okay, so what year is this? Probably a little bit older, right? 1980. Yeah, I don't care. Listen, I'm not living in there. I'm looking for what affordable living. I need to put a position in place where people can actually afford to rent from me. If I price myself out of the market and I start going to something where it makes more sense for people to rent or if it makes more sense for people to actually pay mortgage, why would I do that to myself? I'm going to position myself in places where I'm going to make money because people need that real estate. Okay, so North Vancouver. This looks like it's what is this? It's an apartment style, single family, strata. What do we got here? Bedrooms. Is there any details on the bedrooms? 1 bedroom, 1 bath. Okay, so let's go into rent. North Vancouver. Let's do some research here. North Vancouver apartments. We're going to do 1 bed, 1 bath. So 1 bed. And let's see, 1 bedroom. I got all bedrooms. Okay. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, view listings. Okay. So, right off the bat, in the same region, right? In the same region, it looks to me like we have anything from 1825, 1725, 2300, right, to 2400. So let's take a look at the $2,400 one. It's a newer place, $2,300 one. This one might not be bad. It might be more relevant. The insides have been renovated, so about $2,300. Okay. Let's go into this one. A little bit older, maybe $2,300. It's got the pool. It's got some amenities. What do we get for $1,800? Yeah, this is probably in line with what we're looking at. So sort of $1,800 to $2,450. So it looks like $1,825 is what I'd have to be able to rent it for to be competitive in the market. And it's not like there's a lot of options right now in Vancouver for 1 bed, 1 bath, right? So 1825, does that cost me more or does that cost me less? That costs me less. Sorry, it's going to cost me more to have this place because it cost me $2,083, right, to have a $25,000 mortgage. Right? 25,000 divided by 12, 2,083 plus property taxes plus all the extra stuff. It's going to cost me to actually rent, have a rental property in Vancouver. So you see what I'm saying here? The thing is that the price of the property is not actually in contingency and in companionship with the rental. So it's actually a liability for me to buy a place cash for $500,000 and run interest on that than it is right now to do something else. Okay, so obviously the real estate market in Vancouver is not that hot. Interesting. Let's start getting into some other markets that might be interesting because I know so many people are hot and horny on Vancouver. Let's go and talk about something else. I like to go and take a look at places like Ponoka. You want to talk about affordable living? Start going into these cities that nobody is paying attention to, but the rentals game is awesome. So let's go to Ponoka. It's in Alberta. I'm going to put in a filter here for, let's see if we do multifamily because then we can maybe get a fourplex. Let's see what we can get here. Max price, $500,000. Search. All right, $419,000. What can I get? 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. So legally registered 5 bedroom, 3 bathroom, 1,200 square foot, up down duplex in Hampton Point. This is like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So maybe not that one. We'll look at something else. I mean, you could probably have, what do you call it? You could, rent it to multiple people, like roommates and whatnot, but I want something that's segregated, okay? So let's get strict with it. 500,000. What do we get for 500,000? Older place. 4-plex, 2 bed, 1 bath. Total monthly income is $3,500 a month. Owner pays water, sewer, garbage. Tenants pay heat, electric, energized parking stalls, in-suite laundry. Each unit has its own balcony. Here we go. So there's 4-plex unit. Total monthly income is $3,500 a month. So what are they doing? Just a little bit less than $1,000, right? $3,500 divided by 4 units, $875 a month for 2 bed, 1 bath. That's what people are paying in Ponoka right now. And to me, I would imagine the monthly income being $3,500 a month. Probably it's already rented out. So let's go and do some mortgage calculation on this, right? If I take a $500,000 mortgage out against this on my current equity, right? It's going to cost me what? It's a $2,083, I believe. 25,000 divided by 12, 2,083. And now I've got 3,500 in income, so that puts me at what? So 3,500 rental income minus 2,083. I'm now making, that's wrong. 3,500 minus 2,083. I'm making $1,400 a month. Multiply that by 12. That's 17 grand a year. Okay, so effectively speaking, this is a positive cash flow situation. Of course, the negative Nellies and the realists in the world, well, what about if things break down? What if I have to replace sewers and this and this and that? Well, this is where you do your due diligence on inspection. You do your due diligence on, okay, is this, like, when was the last time the roof was replaced? When was the last time the furnace was replaced? When was the last time this and that? And then you get a good home inspection, get a proper inspection. Now, how's the foundation? Is there a crack in the foundation? Those things that make a difference, right? But my point is, okay, that something as simple as the 500 grand that's going to cost you in Vancouver is going to put you into a $17,000 annual, positive cash flow situation in a place like Alberta. So you have to start thinking outside of your home. So this is the second lesson I'm trying to teach you. Good debt is not necessarily going to be infringed on you staying where you are. You need to be open-minded to expand horizons. Well, Lisa, what about property management, this and that? Listen, if you do a good job finding tenants, it's not that hard to manage a property, okay? It's not that hard. It's definitely not going to cost you, much money to manage a property. And you know what? At the end of the day, if it means that you're going to have to make a trip out, what is it? There's a bunch of free airlines out there, right? $50 trips that you can do one-way Edmonton to Toronto, right? Two-way, maybe $200 on Swoop or Flair or something like that, right? So you do a trip out, come and deal with it, fly back. It's not going to cost you that much. But again, people, they want the money, they don't want the headache. What do you want to do here? Do you actually want to be financially free, or do you just want to talk about it? So this is an example. Now imagine we're able to do this every year, because $17,000, it's not bad, right? If you have a place, an asset that's going up in value, you can continuously start taking money out against it, right? So the quicker, I hope you start seeing that the quicker you start allocating assets that go up in value, such as this penthouse suite style that I'm living in right now, right? The quicker you do this, the quicker that you can start leveraging debt against that, the quicker you can start allocating assets that you can start generating cash flow from as well, okay? The quicker you can do that, the quicker you start getting passive income, the quicker you don't have to work, the quicker you can start thinking about what you want to do with your life. Okay, so this is a speed game. This is not a sit and wait. This is a speed game. You need to learn how to make money. Good debt got to be pushed into assets. Real estate is one of many assets. Okay, so let's go back to my little demonstration here. So rental income. I just kind of gave you a bit of a preview as to how to do that. Another good asset is income producing skills. I'm going to call them IPS. Okay. Move this around and draw a line, pardon me. And shapes, draw a line. So next good debt is income producing skills. So what does this mean? If you can effectively take debt out, right, and leverage that debt. Why is this thing hold on a second. Let me X this out. Okay. All right. Come on, Hannah. You're ruining my video. Let me turn off my Slack channel here. Sorry, guys. All right. If you can invest good debt into learning an income-producing skill, it's actually good debt. I'll tell you an example. When I was, this will be many, many years ago now, so about 10 years ago, right? When I was really, really young, in my early 20s, I invested about $10,000 Canadian to learn how to make money in the stock market. Granted, the course didn't actually teach me everything I needed to know, but it put me onto a path to learn enough to unlock the other keys that I needed to unlock to actually make money in the stock market. If you're interested in a real estate game, you go and hire a coach, maybe someone who's going to teach you how to make money in the real estate game, someone who's doing it right now, someone who's there already. Why would you waste time? So what I say is income producing skills are the kind of skills that allow you to generate money, to generate investment money, to sell the bank on giving you good debt, writing good business plans. I'm telling you, sell it is the number one skill that you can have, right? And you might be like, oh, Eisa, that's so unethical. No, it's not. Think about it. If you're in an argument with your wife, you got to sell her on an idea for her to do something. That's a sales job. That's your ability to sell. You're trying to go to a job and interview for a job to give you, let's say, a higher salary. Well, how you present that as a sales job, right? Trying to convince someone to pour money into your business or raise capital for your business. That's a sales job. Everything that you do in life is a sales job. You just didn't think of it that way. So an income producing skill within itself is a sales job. You need to be able to learn how to make money. And how you make money is by the skills that you've got. So, for example, by me learning the stock market, let me explain to you where that route went. By me learning the stock market and investing in this one coach who unlocked enough locks for me to then go and do the rest on my own, it taught me how to make money from the stock market. Being very wealthy from the stock market, it allowed me to do what? Start coaching the same space. So basically now I've done two things. From one investment and my work ethic, combined with that, of course, you're just going to pay someone that's going to make you money. You've got to put in the work. But from that one investment, I made money in the stock market. And I now also have a coaching business that teaches people how to make money from the stock market. So effectively, I'm double dipping. I'm making money on one end because I know what I'm doing. And on the other end, there's people who want to learn how to do this. So now I'm the position of authority that teaches that to people. But that all started by taking out good debt. I didn't have money at the time. I came from nothing. And if you know my story, you know that I was a refugee, son of a refugee in Sweden, and we came to Canada with not a lot. We had to start from humble beginnings. So the only way that I ever could get to where I'm at right now in my life is by leveraging good debt. It's by taking debt out, putting it into something that's going to grow money for me, whether it's going to be rental income, it's going to be an income producing skill, and I got other stuff for you as well here. It's not the only two things, but and then leveraging those in the future to make more money. So but the source started from good debt. Okay, the source started from good debt. So income producing skills, it could be anything. Learn how to sell, learn how to do marketing online. The future is online, right? Learn how Web 3.0 is going to work. Learn how NFTs work. Learn how blockchain works, right? I mean, this is income producing skills. So if you don't have them, well, it would make a hell of a lot of sense to take debt out and put it into somebody or some entity or let's say an institution that's going to teach you how this works, as opposed to putting that exact same amount of debt into a car that's just going to deplete money every single day from your bank account to take you to a job that's keeping you financially limited as well. You understand what I'm saying? This is a mindset thing. This is not a what do you call it? This is not a different narrative. It's a mindset. You either see what I'm saying by this point already, or you don't. Okay? You either look at money as an opportunity to grow, or you look at it as something to be scared of. I look at it as an opportunity to grow. I look at debt as welcome as much debt as I can, okay? Because the more debt that I include in my life, the faster I can scale all these asset allocations, such as rental income, such as income producing skills. So that's the two of them. Third thing is seed investment. I'll put that down here. Oh, sorry. Get a line. Good. Seed investment. What does that mean? For lack of better terms, it means angel investing. Okay? So what it means is that, there is, and these opportunities happen all the time, and you can get in on them in different ways. I mean, obviously networking helps, and knowing people that are involved with people who are starting companies, all that stuff works. But you can quite literally achieve that by going to a networking event and coming into people that you really resonate with and you are on the same page with, and you'll be part of that inner group circle if you keep those relationships live. So maybe before seed investment, you got to start thinking about networking if you don't know someone. Or how about this? If you invest into an income producing skill, I promise you the coach or the individual that you are working with, they're probably connected. So when they have opportunities, they'll pass that on to you. And that's a very beautiful way to get access to seed investment opportunities. So what's a seed investment? Effectively, what it is that, let's say a company, they're trying to raise capital and they're trying to go public. Okay. So there's different levels of investments, right? So you have the angelic investment that happens at the base level. This is where anyone who's like an angel, they angelically believe in the business. The beautiful thing about that is you do not have to be an accredited investor. What does that mean? Is to be an accredited investor, there's a bunch of criteria that you have to meet so that you're even allowed to invest into these startups in the first place. But the beautiful thing about angelic investment is that you're saying, you know what, I actually believe in this outcome, and you're in the first round of investors that raise the capital to get the idea to now the second level, which is the private investors. That's where you have to be accredited, and then you eventually go into a shell company, and then public money and venture capitalists pour into that. And then you take that company public, and you do something called an initial public offering, an IPO, and then now you have shares that you can potentially sell into the market if they're not restricted shares. And there's rules and regulations, and this a lot of what I'm talking about comes better and comes more authentically from like a lawyer or a tax lawyer or an accountant than what I'm telling you. But what I'm trying to educate you on is the different levels of how things can happen for you to make money. So seed investment, if you have access to seed investments, you can get in on those at the ground floor. And typically I've come to find, and I got to be careful what I say because I'm not a licensed broker, but I've come to find that when I invest into things that are meant to change people's lives, and the idea is to improve the lives, all of those investments become volume plays, which effectively it means that because it impacts more number of people, the likelihood of that idea exploding and going viral is very high. And so far, anything I've invested in that had that approach to it has done retarded 500x, 1000x ROI, in as little as sort of 3 to 5 years. And what happens is this: let's say you put something like $100,000. I'll give you an idea. You take $100,000 of debt, right, and you put it against and you put it against the seed investment. Okay, so $100,000, and let's say now you do a 500x return on that, right? So now you're effectively coming out with 50 million bucks, and that's going to be in about maybe sort of 3 to 5 years as it takes for the company to go to different levels of investments to get to the top. The thing is, at the end of the day, right? If you do something like this, right, and it succeeds, how much debt can you leverage against $50 million to scale the level by which you go and acquire more income producing assets or income producing skills? Quite a lot. Even the 50 million itself, that turns into what? It turns into a level of capital that you can also invest and produce passive income from. So that capital itself becomes passive income, and because you have this amount of money, the debt that's now also available to you becomes passive income. So now you're doubling down on how quickly you're acquiring assets and how quickly you're producing cash flow. Now, of course, Eisa, you have to have a 500x ROI on an investment for it to work out. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Maybe you're going to have an investment that goes 10x. Maybe it doesn't go 500x, but still, you tell me that if you take $100,000 and you put it into $1 million after 3 to 5 years, and you're not going to have the faster rate to which the outcome of what you're looking for is going to happen. Of course, right? 100 grand is not that a lot of money, and if it is a lot of money to you, then I highly implore you to start thinking bigger and understand that. What are you going to do with 100 grand? What, pay off your student loans and maybe have enough down payment to pay a place for the next 30 years and complain about not having money? Money is not a lot there. 100 grand is not a lot of money. So I find that seed investments, when done on the right opportunities, are really, really good. Now, there's an argument for, well, investments can go sour. Investments can go sideways. They might not work out. So is it really good debt? Is it bad debt? Well, here's the thing. If you have a rental income, if you have income producing skills, that now positions you to heavily reduce the risk of taking out money against good debt and put it into a seed investment, because you have cash flow. You have methods of paying down the seed investment. What I'm trying to show you is an increased scale in how wealth gets elevated and scaled in an exponential fashion, as opposed to linear, which is what tends to happen when people wait for 30 to 35 years when they're investing. Yeah, sure, your money gets compounded, but it's a very linear timeline. You understand what I mean? The timeline until you get that money is what the problem is. It's too linear. It's not exponential. If it was exponential, then more people will be rolling around in their tendies, as they say these days, than they are. So it's extremely important to understand that what I'm trying to show you here, I should probably draw that, is a order of significance in how you get to success with this. Okay, so things get more scaled as you're able to, a certain rental income, a certain income producing skills, start going to seed investments. Okay, so that's that. The fourth thing that I absolutely love, that I love leveraging good debt against, okay, is commodities, and I'll tell you why. So let me grab this right here. Go into text. Might be a little bit of goulash here, but whatever. You get my point. Commodities. Why? Because that's insurance money for me. Okay, that effectively, I keep sliding around here, sorry guys. So that effectively to me is money that's being hedged against whatever is going to happen. Okay, like if the world's going to crash and the economy's going to come down burning and and money's not going to be worth it anymore. Commodities keep me safe. It's insurance, gold, silver, even Bitcoin and whatnot. There's a place for Bitcoin because it is a form of commodity that is forming. Now, whether it goes to the moon, whether it just kind of becomes this stagnant thing that goes up now in a very linear fashion, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin, gold, silver, copper, iron, these are the different kinds of commodities that hedge all of my good debt. Because if I take debt out, right, of course, we're investing with that debt. We're doing things. We're investing into rental income. We're investing into people to teach us income-producing skills. We're investing into seed investments that's going to now ROI 10x, 15, 50, 100, 200, 500, 1,000x, right? And you don't have to put 100K. I'm just giving you an idea. Like 100K could become 50 million. You could put 50K, right? And then we hedge all of our bets against commodities because if shit hits the fan, well, people need to live somewhere. So rental income will continue, right? And income producing skills are still going to be used because in every economic crash, in every crisis, another opportunity presents itself. As one door closes, another door opens itself. So if you have income producing skills, you can easily transfer that into the next segment that's going to make money. So the real big risk taker here is the seed investment. That's the one that you have to hedge your bets against, and that's going to be through commodities: gold, silver, copper, iron, Bitcoin. That's going to be used if the world goes crazy, great. If it doesn't go crazy, also great. And here's why I love real estate. So coming back to kind of finish off the loop here, if I can continue this line and continue it to where we started. The reason I love real estate is it's another hedge against the state of the world. If the world's going to go into an absolute craze and now dollars don't mean anything and everybody's buying and selling in Bitcoin, well, hey, someone still needs to live somewhere, right? They still need a place to live. They still have to rent something, right? So if that's the case, then I guess the transfer in currency will be done in Bitcoin. They'll pay you in Bitcoin, and that's how you get paid for your rental property. But the point is, you have the asset that's going to generate the income, and then whatever the currency of the day is, it just gets generated in that currency. Okay? So good debt, I want you to start differentiating debt. Stop getting in the mindset of, I got to pay down debt, I got to pay down debt, I got to pay down debt. Listen, debt is a beautiful thing when it's put into something to make you more money. So what are the things you can make money from? Rental income, real estate. Like, not the one that you live in, the one that makes you money. Income producing skills. Learn how the stock market works. Learn how to trade the markets. This is what I do. I specialize in teaching the markets. But you don't have to learn that. Learn how real estate works. Learn how to sell. Learn how to do MLM. Learn how to do marketing online. Learn how YouTube works. There's YouTube automation right there. You can go learn how to make money every month passively on YouTube. Okay? There's so much you can do. There's so much you can do. You can get involved with a bunch of other people, and you guys go and knock on doors and try to sell something, right? Maybe you figured out the solution to clean drinking water, and you want to go and do it cheaper than the Kangen filter. But you need income-producing skills, such as sales, to transfer that. So very, very important. Rental income, IPS. After that, seed investment. Start investing into startups that you believe in that are going to start helping people on a mass scale around the world. For me, the play has been Web 3.0 since about 2015. But your play might be different. Maybe you like, holistic nutrition. Maybe you like something like that makes sense to you. I don't know. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm just telling you that you can think about what matters to you and what you think that the world needs, and you can start investing into those ideas. That's going to help more people. And then you back it up with commodities. Now, here's the thing I love about good debt. When it eventually comes into your incorporation, and even as a personal, you have to talk to an accountant to get more information on this. But when this debt comes into an incorporation, which is your business, right? Now you have an incorporation that has debt in there that's doing all these income producing skills and rental income and all that stuff. The interest acts as a write-off. So where in the personal side, you are going to actually end up paying interest on your mortgage, and you're paying, it's just going, that's money that's leaving your pocket, right? In an incorporation, the money that's leaving your pocket is not really leaving your pocket because it's reducing the total revenue that you pay tax on. So let's say if you make $300,000 in a business, and you now, let's say, pay for whatever reason, let's say you pay $50,000 in interest, let's say that cost, it's not a realistic number, but I'm just giving an idea of how this works. Now you're only taxed on $250,000, whereby if you are a personal individual and you've got $300,000 in income per year and a salary, the interest that you pay, only a very small portion of that can actually count in tax credits towards you, and you still get taxed on the 300 grand. Okay? Very, very different. So I hope this opened up an aha moment in that if you can set up your income producing activities, your IPAs, I should write this down. If you can produce your IPAs, wow, my spelling is awesome on the computer. You can produce your IPAs inside of what I call an incorporation. I'll consider this is horrible painting, guys, but I hope you understand what I'm doing. If you can do this inside of an incorporation, so I'm going to do it. Anyway, if you can do all of this, let me zoom out a bit. I do it now. There we go. And we'll make this one hollow. Nothing. Cool. If you do all of this inside of the housing that I call an incorporation, then you become extremely tax efficient as well. And to take things a little bit further as well, if this massive housing, this housing that I created in the draw I drew up for you, if the shareholder of this is what's called a holding company, so it's a holding company that holds all of this, then the profits that you make in this business can actually be paid to the holding company. When that exercise happens, it's considered a dividend payment to the shareholder, which is now the holding company. And when that exercise happens, you defer when you pay taxes on that amount. Okay, which it's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer because imagine, let's say you have $1 million of extra. I mean, this is hypothetical, okay? But let's say you have $1 million of extra money sitting in your operating company, whatever it is that you do, and you need to do something with it. You're either going to have to pay taxes on that because you've had that money that you've made, or you can transfer a portion of it to your holding company and defer when you pay taxes on it. You still have to pay taxes on the portion that you transfer. So for $1 million, maybe you put $500,000 into the holding company. You still have to pay tax on that, but not today. That's the point. This gives you buying power today in the holding company to invest again. And the fatter that your holding company becomes, the more you can exercise a system where you're sending money into the holding company and defer when you pay taxes on that. You have time now to take that capital that's holding all of this to invest, to produce more income, to produce more assets, to get more assets, to get more income producing skills, to the point where, yeah, when you eventually pay taxes on that $500K that you put in there, yeah, you got to pay it. But by the time you pay it, you've made so much money, it doesn't even matter anymore. Okay? So you need to understand that there is a game out there. There's a system out there that you have to understand. And in its essence, in its absolute basic essence, the system involves learn how to make money first. Okay? Learn the different avenues, the type of assets that make you money. Once you understand what those assets are, you need to understand, okay, what is it going to take to qualify for debt? Okay, maybe the first avenue to that is, yeah, you got to save a bit of money, right? Maybe you have to save money first from your job that you're currently doing to demonstrate that, yeah, you got skin in the game, so the bank is comfortable giving you debt. But then my thing is, I don't want to put that debt and then sit on my property that I live in for 30 years. Okay, I want that property owned by my company, and I'll rent from that company so that my company is making income. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I want my company to still be income producing as opposed to the other way. That's very, very different because then what ends up happening as well is there's a massive structure whereby the company is making money, the balance sheet is healthier, it's easier to get more debt. Okay, and then understand that when all this is held by a holding company, you can actually defer money back to the holding company and delay when you pay taxes on it, which is awesome because now you have all this buying power today that you can use to invest even more, acquire more assets. And all of this in the grand scheme of what? The world is turning to a place where people are becoming renters and less people are owning assets. So the more you can position yourself in the side that has asset allocation, the better off, in my opinion, the better off one is going to be. That's truly what I believe. Okay, because what's happening? The masses are becoming renters. The masses are renting. They're leasing. They're leasing a car. They're renting their houses. They're renting their Airbnbs. Everything's going to be for rent soon, right? So, what are some examples of assets? Right. So, I think assets. So for sure, here, let's go in here. So for sure, rental properties. I think golf clubs, franchises, food chains, scooter, ride share services. Like if you can find a way to do that, like the Evo Car Club in Vancouver, or if you got scooters, like Edmonton has a scooter service, you can rent a scooter and scooter around. Scooters, so transportation services, right? Real estate services. Property management companies. Like you can be a property management company. It's an income producing venture, right? Because if you establish a real estate property management company, yeah, you need to have licensed people in every role. But again, if you invest in that, then that entity makes money. It puts money into your pockets, money that you can now shove into buying more real estate or buy more assets or buy something else that's going to produce more money for you. Money's got to flow, okay? I think ultimately this is the lesson here. Money, okay, has to flow. When money flows, it's got energy. Okay, it grows. I love that. Flowing money is always growing money. Okay, that's a really good saying. Flowing money is always growing money. Stagnant money is always dead money. Okay? Liabilities. So, what are things that are going to take money out of your pocket? Well, I hope we've established it by now that real estate that I live in takes money out of my pocket. Spelling. Car payments that take money out of my pocket is a liability. On the flip side, if my car serves the purpose in the branding of my business, so let's say if I show up to a meeting driving a nice car, well, that's going to establish credibility and authority, which ultimately may lead to an income producing activity, right? Maybe somebody's going to be more inclined to work with me because I got a nicer car, I got my life together, and what that represents. People think, oh, okay, like you see a lot of BS out there that all these Jeff Bezos and whatnot, they drove their old Honda Accords and whatever, and they still made it. Yeah, you could do that too. But I'm saying that in the world we live in as well, people like to associate with anyone who is successful. So if you are actually successful, the car can actually become a bit of an asset because it supplements how people portray you. And I think how people portray you ultimately drives the attention you have. The attention you have ultimately drives the cash flow that you make. That's just the world we live in today. Like it or not, that's the world that it is. Okay, attention equals income these days. So, so that's one of those things. Okay, but in the beginning, does it make sense to have car payments that exceed your actual net worth and stuff like that? No. Like I know people who have $100,000 cars, but their net worth is not even $50,000. It's crazy, right? It's crazy how that's even possible, but that's how it works. Okay, so real estate that I live in, car payments, right? Anything that takes money out of my pockets. Okay. So what else? What else can do that? Eating out all the time. No, it's a liability. Spending money on trips that can't account as a business expense. So if I can't justify it as a business expense, then spending money on a trip, it takes money out of my pockets. Sure, you might get rich in experiences, but is that experience going to make me money? That's how I think. And unless you're going for vacation with your family and whatnot, whatever. But the point is, like, excessively spending money on trips and entertainment and things that aren't going to actually make you money is dumb. The same thing that could be a liability easily gets turned into an asset when it's done inside of a company. I'll give you an example. Like, if I, let's say, go and grab a suite at a hockey game, right? It might cost $10,000 or $15,000, but who am I inviting to that suite? Are there people that I can maybe talk to and network with, and then eventually that translates to a deal that then I make money from, and they make money from as well, and we all become wealthy together? Well, then that suite will be considered, an asset at that point, right? But the very same suite, if just bought for the purpose of just blowing money on something, is a liability. But I'll give you something else that's very, very interesting. And this is something you got to learn, and obviously your accountants can help you more with this as you get more successful with money. But if at the end of the year you still have to pay a bunch of taxes to the government, and that's something that you have no way of really getting away from, or you can't defer to a holding company and whatnot, well, don't forget this: write-offs are fantastic. So if I have to get rid of, let's say, 50 grand because I'm going to owe that in taxes, well, I can host a massive marketing campaign at a hockey suite that costs $20,000. I have to pay that money anyway, but now all of a sudden that money is being used for meals and entertainment, and that's now an added write-off. So instead of 50 grand, I'm maybe now writing off 30 grand, 35 grand, because you can't probably claim all of it, but you can absolutely claim a portion of that. So now that money's going out anyway, well, may as well use it for my purposes. For example, if I got to pay 10 grand that I have left to pay the government, well, I'm not going to feel bad about booking business class or first class fare, because that is effectively, right, a write-off if that trip is for business expenses or for a business purpose. So when I'm traveling for business and I know that, okay, in the back of my mind, I have to write off a bunch of things, that's another fantastic expense. Why not travel better if that money has to go into the hands of the government anyway? Well, I'd rather spend that on my business and how I experience things in life, okay? So this is how you start thinking about the flow of money. But I'm not trying to tell you, of ways of not paying the government. You have a duty to pay the government. But the point is that if that money has to be spent and there's allocation and budget and there's room to spend on other things, I'd rather spend it there because it's going to enrich in my life and the life of those that live with me, work with me, and are in partnership with me. And that's going to bring more money. So that's why I can reuse it as a write-off. And this is the number one lesson that all you have to understand, okay? A lot of you think that the government's out to get you and that the government's out to tax you and do this and that. You have two choices in life. The first choice is you're an employee. Effectively, as an employee, you're the biggest risk to the government because there's a very simple reason. If you lose your job, you'd be taken care of. Okay, that's why you have EI. Granted, not that much, but that is the structure for which we live in. So the government has to deduct a ton of taxes and take a lot of money from you for the day, right? The day that in case you might lose your job, or the day that they have to pay back pension to you. Now, some of you with a chip on your shoulder are going to find an argument for everything that I'm saying. I'm not really interested in hearing those arguments because at the end of the day, you have a choice. If you stay an employee, the government's going to tax you, and that's just how the system works because they might have to take care of you one day. If you become a business owner, the government rewards you. So it's actually a reward for me to go and hop onto a business class fare. It's a reward because that is something that's going to generate probably conversation with two other people in the business class, might strike a network connection, might cause a business deal. It's going to cause an economic situation. It's going to present jobs. And for that reason, the government views my activity as a write-off activity. It's in the benefit of the government if I go and develop the country than it is for it to develop the country, which is why I get the write-off. So now if you can just learn to understand that, understand good debt, understand to leverage good debt against write-offs, oh man. Now you have a setup where, Jesus, okay? It's no question some people get wealthy so quick because they understand this game. So important to understand this game. Okay? So, yeah, that's what I have to say. Understand good debt. Study it. Get innately interested in it. Okay? Don't get complacent. Don't just stop learning because you feel like you can't do this. Everybody starts somewhere. I learned this from nothing. I didn't know any of this stuff when I started out. You gotta remember that. I learned this all from scratch. Okay, so yeah, that's what I have to teach you today. I hope you learned something great from it. And what I'm doing as well is if you fall into this category, so if you're someone who wants to learn income producing skills, and I specialize in teaching the stock market, okay? So that's something that you can learn from me. If that's something that you're interested in doing, then shoot me a message on Facebook, shoot me a messenger request, and let's chat, and let's see what that will look like for you. Because I think that if you are in the frame of mind to be here on this training today, then obviously you understand that you've got to start doing things a little bit differently with your money. The way you allocate your money has got to be different. The way you think about your money is going to be different. The way you energize your money has got to be different. So if learning income producing skills such as making money in the stock market, which again is another really good income producing activity, by the way, if that's something you want to learn, get in touch. I mean, I've been helping hundreds of professionals, the ones who take me seriously. I got to put a caveat there. The ones who take me seriously, I've helped hundreds of them succeed with this, learn financial freedom, learn how to make money on their own terms to the point where they don't have to rely on, a job to pay them ever again, right? And hey, if you learn a thing about this, if you learn to leverage good debt against learning how to make money in the stock market, it becomes a powerful formula on how much faster you can do the rest of all this stuff that I've talked about, this whole circle that I've drawn for you. You can do it a lot faster because the moves that happen on the market, the rate at which you can make money in the stock market is absolutely out of the charts, okay? You don't have to value invest for 30 to 35 years to become wealthy off the stock market. You need 3 to 5 years, and you can have enough money, like in the millions, whereby you don't have to go through a lot of the difficulty of people who are working and saving money, okay? So if that sounds like you, shoot me a message, find me on Facebook, okay? It's facebook.com/Eisa Emami, add me to friends, and shoot me a message, and myself will get back to you within 24 hours. Let's have a discussion if this is something you want to learn, okay? I sincerely hope you enjoy this training. It's always my pleasure to give this sort of free training out to the public and really teach them, empower them with more knowledge so that you become less of a victim and you become more of a powerful individual, the individual who's always in you, who's meant to be powerful, who's meant to be out here creating things, okay? I want to see more of that in this world, okay? And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm empowering people with knowledge. And the ones who are listening, they're going to get a hold of me. The ones who are just kind of a little bit scared, they're probably going to continue doing what they do. And I wish you guys all the best. All right, take care. Have a fantastic day, and I wish you the best. Bye.